Does anyone need that repeated?
Yeah, repeat that for me, just to be sure.
Carol Bellato first, Dana Mitnick second, George Hayward third, Amy Knoll fourth, Doug Carlano fifth, Gloria Gresham sixth, Presented Mitra seventh.
Okay, thank you.
Carol Bellato, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was Walt Disney's first full-length cartoon. In this tale, a beautiful maiden escapes into the woods and is taken by a colorful group of small men. The dwarfs' names, Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Grumpy, and Happy, reflect their demeanors. If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? Carol Bellato.
Well, let me tell you something. Covers all of my attributes on the dwarf's name, actually. Table Topics Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. If I was the eighth friend of Snow White, I would hope that she would call me friendly. Friendly. That's a personality trait that I felt closest that defines who I am in every aspect of my life. Although I have been sneezy many times, and very seldom have I been called Doc, although we have, sometimes play doctor roles. But bashful, I don't know. Grumpy, my family's here, I have to admit that I do become grumpy at times. But friendly would definitely be what I would call myself, and hope that the other seven dwarfs would think so too after they got to know me. Thank you.
Timer, can we please have 1 minute on the clock for the judges?
Time.
Thank you. Dana Mitnick, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was Walt Disney's first full-length cartoon. In this tale, a beautiful maiden escapes into the woods and is taken in by a colorful group of small men. The dwarfs' names, Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Grumpy, and Happy, reflect their demeanors. If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? Dana Mitnick.
Thank you, Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. What would I be if I was the eighth dwarf? I tell you what I'd be. I would be Combo. Dang, what do you mean, Combo? That's not a name for a dwarf. Yes, it is indeed. Let me explain why that is the case. I have a little grumpy in me, especially in the morning when I don't have my coffee. I can be Doc because I got it all up here. sneezy too. I would make a great 8th dwarf to Snow White. Heck, I can even teach the other 7 a little thing or two about how to be a good, supportive person. Who knows? They might either further exemplify their characteristics of personality, or they might change. Either way, I would be known as Combo, because I would reflect nearly all of the 7 dwarfs' personalities. Madam Contest Chair.
Timer, can we please have one more call for the judges? Bless you.
Time.
George Hayward. Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs was Walt Disney's first full-length cartoon. In this tale, a beautiful maiden escapes into the woods and is taken in by a colorful group of small men. The dwarfs' names, Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Grumpy, and Happy, reflect their demeanors. If you were Snow White's 8th friend, what would you be called? If you were Snow White's 8th friend, what would you be called? George Hayward.
Certainly I am too tall to be a dwarf, fellow Toastmasters, but let's have some fun with this. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, and guests, if I were that 8th dwarf, I'd be called Reason. And the first thing I'd say is, what are you doing in these woods, Snow White? What are you doing here? Why are we all alone? Who's providing the food? We have 7 dwarves, so one of them's Sleepy, one of them's Grumpy. Right, those guys are those the kind of guys you want on your team when you're trying to survive in the woods. Who else do we have? We have Doc. We'll keep Doc around. We have Sneezy. Guys clearly got, well, he needs some help from the doctor, but if he's going to pass something around to us, we got to get him out of here. I'm Reason. The first thing I'm saying is, Sleepy, you got to go. No, Sneezy, you got to go. Sleepy, what's the good of Sleepy? What is he doing there? Not helping at all. We're trying to plan our escape from the woods with Snow White because she clearly is an important person. We got to get her back to wherever she came from, right? So Sleepy, he's not helping out. We're going to leave him in the woods. We'll leave him when he's snoozing, so they probably didn't get that. Who else we got? Bashful. Bashful, can we keep him around? I don't know. I mean, the guy, we're just going to offend him, everything we say, right? Like, hey, I think we should go left. He's like, well, I think we should go right. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm Reason here, Bashful. Okay, you're called Bashful for a reason. We're going left. So I don't know if you would really be helping the progress of the group. We're going to leave him behind as well. Who else? Happy. Happy. There's always a need for happy people, am I right? Happy people, they're good to have around. We need someone who's optimistic in case Reason here leads us in the wrong direction. Happy can be like, hey, let's go. Let's recover, and we'll just keep our spirits up, and we'll get there eventually. So we'll keep Happy. Let's see, that's the last one. So to answer the question here, I would be Reason, and I would use my reason to get rid of the people who aren't helping us get out of the woods, because we shouldn't be in the woods in the first place, not a very good place for a princess or Snow White, and then I would leave the rest of them behind, except for Doc, who will protect us, and I'll keep Happy because he's going to keep the morale up, and we need someone like that. And I think with that kind of team, fellow Toastmasters, we can get out of the woods, and we can have a happy ending to that story. Madam Contest Chair.
Time.
Thank you. Amy Knoll. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was Walt Disney's first full-length cartoon. In this tale, a beautiful maiden escapes into the woods and is taken in by a colorful group of small men. The dwarfs' names, Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Grumpy, and Happy, reflect their demeanors. If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? Amy Knoll.
What a great question. Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters and most honored guests, what would my name be if I could be the eighth dwarf? My name would be Lovey. Could you imagine working with Grumpy to make him Lovey? Fellow Toastmasters, I believe that each one of the characters had a special meaning, but they had a special purpose too. Just like Toastmasters, we try to make a difference in people's worlds. Even being grumpy can change somebody. You look at that person and you think to yourself, why is somebody grumpy? Well, you have to take people for what they are. And she did the same thing. She loved each and every one of them as if they were her own children. I, being loving, would give her a different perspective. I would make sure that everybody in the morning was happy. I would make sure even Grumpy was loving. And I would make sure that she was happy too. That is why I would be the eighth dwarf, Lovey. Can we all just say my name real quick? Lovey. And then I would be the eighth person in her crew.
Time.
Doug Furlano. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was Walt Disney's first full-length cartoon. In this tale, a beautiful maiden escapes into the woods and is taken in by a colorful group of small men. The dwarfs' names, Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Grumpy, and Happy, reflect their demeanors. If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? Doug Furlano.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, wonderful guests. If I was one of Snow White's eight dwarfs, without a shadow of a doubt, I would be happy. And that's because every day I wake up, I get out of bed, I get out like this, and I say, today's going to be a great day. And I'm just happy all day. I read something positive and empowering to start the day for about an hour, or watch a video, or read one of my books from my personal library. And I just want to be infectious with energy when I walk into the room so I can rub it off other people. I feel like it's part of me. It's just the way I am. And some people might say I'm crazy, but hey, I'm an outcast. That's the way I am. If they, like, I love school. I love the weather. The weather might be bad. It might be raining. It might be too cold, too dark, too early, and too rainy, or whatever it may be. And I say, hey, I'm taking the weather with me. I'm a ball of sunshine. I'm going to be happy. Maybe I can affect those other dwarfs. And because all the other six all look kind of bad to me. So maybe I can help Bashful get more confidence. Maybe I'll bring the Toastmasters. And Gloomy or Grumpy, I'll make him feel better. I'll share one of my inspiring stories about an experience. and say, I've been there too. I've been stricken in the heart like that too. Maybe I can help him. So I'd be happy without a shadow of a doubt, and I'd help other people be happy. I'd turn every single one of those 7 dwarfs into happy dwarfs. Just like me and Snow White should be happy, and we'd make a sequel, and it would be the best movie. It would beat all the other Disney movies. It would be better than Little Mermaid. It would be better than every Disney movie. But happy, happy, happy. It's the way to be. You gotta be happy in life because that's what you should be doing. It makes your performance better. It makes it more memorable. So everybody, I hope you can be happy too.
Mr. Tanner, can we please have 1 minute on the clock for the judges? Gloria Gresham. Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs was Walt Disney's first full-length cartoon. In this tale, a beautiful maiden escapes into the woods and is taken in by a colorful group of small men. The dwarfs' names, Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Grumpy, and Happy, reflect their demeanors. If you were Snow White's 8th friend, what would you be called? If you were Snow White's 8th friend, what would you be called? Gloria Gresham.
Madam Contest Chair, fellow Toastmasters, guests. If I was Snow White's 8th dwarf, I would be blessed. And the reason why I say that is because whether you're happy, sad, dopey, or whatever, you can still be blessed. Snow White, when I think about the fairy tale, she had kind of a difficult time with some of the dwarfs. And some of them were agreeable and some of them weren't. She had Dopey that was kind of off kilter. But she had Happy that was always jumping around, and you can only take that for so long. You're tired. And you had Sleepy, who just kind of laid down and slept all day long. You have to wake him up for meals and that. But if you're blessed, if you're her blessed dwarf, you can do things for her. You can make life gentle for her. You can even make a meal for her to make her feel better. Because she's here with all these dwarfs and no family. So this is her family. So that blessed dwarf would be the one who could make life just a little bit easier for her. Yes, I would be blessed. She could call me blessed. Or she could call me Blessing. I would be the female one. So I would even understand her needs. And I would be able to relate to her. And she could relate to me. We could have all these conversations about being female. We never said that the dwarfs there were no female dwarfs. They were all males. I could be her female. I could be her blessing. Bless would be my name, but I would be her blessing. So in thinking about the 8th dwarf for her, it would have to be blessed. I would be her blessing. Madam Congress.
Mr. Tyler, can we please have 1 minute on the clock?
time.
Prasenjit Mishra. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs was Walt Disney's first full-length cartoon, and this tale a beautiful maiden escapes into the woods and is taken in by a colorful group of small men. The dwarfs' names, Doc, Dopey, Sleepy, Sneezy, Bashful, Grumpy, and Happy, reflect their demeanors. If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? If you were Snow White's eighth friend, what would you be called? Prasenjit Mishra.
Let me take you to my childhood. When I was a kid, I had a little bit more hair. I wasn't bald. I was a little bit more plump. My friends used to call me fat. I used to do okay in school because I didn't want to study. My parents, had already settled my arranged marriage, as I mentioned previously, to academics, and they were pushing me. And I grew up in India, where everything is rather chaotic. So you will see drivers weaving, traffic signals are, just an advice only. Red means you're supposed to stop, but you will see cars shooting by. So in that society, I grew up to take things pretty easy. And so when my life took a downturn, let's say 3 or 4 years ago, and I got into depression, then I decided that, maybe I should remember some of the things that I learned in childhood. Everything isn't black and white. Everything isn't so serious, or should be taken so seriously. And that helped me grow out of my depression and to believe in myself. I would not use the word overconfident. I would not use the word smart. I would not use the term good-looking. I would like to be those, but I'm not. The word that I would use to describe myself would be relaxed. I take everything easily in life these days, and that has been a blessing. Madam Secretary.